We're back out on the Bass Buggy, and today we're talking about the baits, techniques, and tips that will help you keep catching bass in the hottest part of the summer. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and as any angler can tell you, when the temperature heats up, the bite dies off. As that water temperature begins to rise, those bass become lazy and lethargic, especially the big ones. It becomes harder and harder just to eke out any kind of bite, let alone catch a biggin. But there are still ways that we can go about catching the big ones. It just requires a little patience and sometimes some ingenuity. Now, how do we do this? Well, the first thing I can recommend is to alter the times you're going out on the water. Now, for most anglers, time on the water is a very precious commodity. We don't get to go out every day. It may be a once or twice thing at most. So when we're out on the water, we want to make sure that we're catching and landing fish. Hopefully, good fish. But this time of year, we'll settle for anything, even if it's a dink or two. But in order to affect that, by a larger degree than you might think, change the time that you're going. Try to go a little bit earlier in the morning or a little bit later in the evening. It's best not to go when that sun is straight overhead at high noon. That's when the bass are going to be the least active. That's when they're going to be the hardest to get to bite. If you can get a chance to go out on the water, either a little earlier in the morning or a little bit later in the day, that's going to affect the outcome quite substantially, more than you think. Earlier in the morning will be your coolest time and probably your best chance. But as with a lot of things, just because you get up at 6 o'clock every morning doesn't mean you can get on the lake at 6 o'clock every morning. So if you can get out perhaps in the evening close to sundown. A lot of people don't like to night fish, but I can't recommend it enough. I do my best fishing in the heat of the summertime at night. That for me is when the bite is strongest. But if you can't get out in the morning or at night, try to get out in the evening close to sundown. That's also a good time whenever those shadows are starting to get long across the water and the bite picks up just a little bit. Now, as far as presentations and baits that we can throw, a lot of times you want to downsize what it is that you're already doing. Now, for some people, they'll tell you the first thing that you need to go to is a Ned rig. The Ned rig is the ultimate small finesse presentation. And for a lot of the country, especially in the northern states, that's certainly true. If you can find a body of water that has limited vegetation and a hard bottom, a Ned rig is certainly a good option. However, in the deep south where I am, there are no hard bottom fisheries. All the fisheries here are choked with vegetation and the water tends to be more shallow. So that means a Ned rig is generally not a best option unless of course you want to be bringing back a big old glop of mess every single time you reel your bait in. But have no fear, there are other options that work just as well. Again, downsizing your presentation or altering your presentation in some way is generally a good idea. For example, this is a standard jerkbait. We all know this. This is a typical sort of ghost shad pattern. I've caught a lot of fish on this particular jerkbait right here. It's done great. But as that bite slows down, as the water heats up, I'll go to something smaller. This is what I'm going to be throwing later on whenever we're out on the water. And I can show you that by downsizing that presentation, you will increase your chances of getting bit. Even fish that are larger than you think you might ordinarily get. Chest a little bit higher. Little bitty baby turtles. See a little bitty baby turtle right there. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. Come on, buddy. That is a real nice fish. Oh yeah, look at that beautiful thing. That's a gorgeous fish. That is a gorgeous fish. Obviously, you're going to want to have a Senko rigged up. But this is a 365 24/7 deal. If you're fishing nothing but a Texas rig Senko all year, chances are you're in pretty good shape as it is. Usually, all you have to do is just change the color or worry about what kind of weight you have, maybe even going weightless. But for the most part, Texas rig Senko is going to get bit at all times of year. All across YouTube, everybody's doing their August bait tips, and they'll be doing their fall bait tips as well. And for the most part, they're going to be including a Senko in there, because Senkos just get bit 12 months out of the year, especially now. Don't be afraid to slow things down. Rig up a Texas rig Senko, weightless, small weight, whatever, and this will be a good option for you. This is a June bug colored Senko that I've made, and we're just going to get my camera straight, and we're just going to work it around here just a little bit. Now that was a terrible cast. I tell you what, this broken foot has definitely limited my mobility. You know, alright, well, here's a funny story. You guys want to know how stupid I am? You guys comment below if you've ever done anything like this, if you guys have ever been this stupid. I was cleaning some boxes out. We had some boxes that had just come in. We had some boxes that had just come in from packages that we just got. And we have this cat tree that is by the china cabinet in the living room. But, and that's grass. So I moved it out of the way to grab the boxes. And got the boxes out of the way, and I went to go put it back, and I'm looking right at the stupid tree. I'm looking right at the thing. I know it's there. And I still ended up kicking the base of it. I ended up kicking the base of it with my left foot and shattered 2 of my toes. My baby toe and the one right next to it. And I'm telling you what, they smart some kind of fierce. And I've got nobody to blame but myself. I mean, I'm the genius what did it. I did it all to myself. It wasn't even, it was broad daylight. Had plenty of light. I mean, I couldn't even say it was a dark room. I'm the dummy that put the cat tree there, the little cat pedestal that the cat climbs and scratches on, and I'm the one that put it there. I set it down, and I was looking right at it, and I still ended up kicking the thing. That's what you call, you know, having the smart. Whenever you got the smart. You know, like they used to say, when you're really good, they call you Cracker Jack. Well, when you're really bad, I guess they call you lowbrow. It is really hot out here today. It's probably close to 100 degrees out here. There we go, I'm on. He hit it pretty good too. Another thing that I like to do is, if I'm fishing dense vegetation or around laydowns and blowdowns, I'm fishing those pockets, those places where I can fit something like this in. This is a small 1/4 ounce flipping jig, a Bitsy Bug. And this has a red hook and red flecks in it, and it's supposed to mimic an injured fish. And I've actually had a really good success with this. This is probably my favorite Bitsy Bug so far, and I've used it during the day, at night, and it seems to work really good. But using a regular jig and downsizing that presentation, again, like you would with anything else, seems to do wonders. It seems to translate to more bites. Again, when the weather gets hot and those fish stop biting, every bite counts. All right, we're fishing with the stupid rig again. We're fishing with the stupid rig again, and got a good bit of wind, so if the wind becomes a problem and I can't cast it as far as I would like to, what I will do is I will take that skirt off and we'll be able to cast it much further. Alright, I took the skirt off of the jig, off the little Bitsy Bug jig, and you can see how I've got it wacky rigged there. It's essentially a weedless weighted wacky rig this way, and this way I can actually get a little bit more distance on that cast like I need to. Hopefully I didn't just throw my worm off. But the point of that is, obviously, is to have a weighted wacky presentation. And if I'm looking for different plastics other than, say, a stick bait, a Senko, or something like that, I'm going something like this Yum Spine Crawl. Now this is an odd fellow. These may be a bit hard to find. I can only get them at certain times. They are rarely ever on store shelves, but how I found these little guys was actually by accident in the discount bin at Walmart. But these are a type of crawl that do not have a huge paddle on the end of the claw. Now they've got some kick, but it's not nearly as much as, say, a Christie Crawl or a Rage Crawl. They make a great alternative, and few people know about these or throw them. They make a great trailer, or you can Texas rig them and throw them as is the way they are. They catch fish either way. If you have a chance to find these, this is a black blue flake color. This is the one that I throw most of the time. If you have a chance to find these, I highly recommend picking some up. They're a great bait. Alright, we've got another bitsy bug that I've taken the skirt off, and I've put a Yum Spine Crawl on there. And this should allow me, give me a bit of casting distance. I'm trying to get over to that shadow, that shade line there, and then I can work this. And basically this is another weedless presentation. I'm hoping that I can use to get a little bit further when I'm casting. Let it fall. And we'll see if we can get anybody interested in that, right? Now I know what somebody's saying. They're saying, well, why didn't you just Texas rig it? Well, the reason being is I can actually get a little bit farther casting distance with this. And I get a different type of fall. So that's kind of what I'm after, is I'm after that fall, and I'm after the casting distance. So alright, we switched up to a chatterbait, to a 1/4 ounce chatterbait that I made myself. Oh yeah, that dude thumps. Boy, that thing thumps hard. Boy, that thing thumps. Here we are. I'm on. Yeah, it's a little half pounder. A little half pounder. A little half pounder on the homemade chatterbait. Little dinky fish. Thanks for playing, buddy. Alright. And there you have it. So as you can see, sometimes downsizing your presentation and slowing things down when need be will yield completely different results. Changing the time of day that we go, whether in the morning or whether at night, can also greatly affect the outcome as those fish become more active and more willing to feed. So little tips and tricks here that you can do to keep the bite going as the dog days of summer roll on, and we all wait for the weather to cool off and fall to come in. But until then, we can find ways to keep catching fish. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.